10-Minute Murder contains depictions of actual crimes. What you are about to hear is real and violent in nature. Discretion is advised. This is 10-Minute Murder.
Welcome to 10-Minute Murder, the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. I'm Joe, I'm the host, and thanks for being here. If you are new to the podcast, thanks for checking it out today. I hope after the episode you'll consider subscribing or following or doing whatever it is that your app says that makes you not miss any episodes in the future. And when you subscribe, you'll automatically get new episodes. You won't have to go searching a couple of times a week to find out if I have uploaded them. Because I have, I got you. I'm not going to leave you hanging. At least 2 a week. That's my goal every single week, and sometimes I'll do 3. And sometimes one of those 3 will be a super long episode. Now that part is unpredictable. It's just as I get time to do the longer ones, then that's when I will do them. Also, let me tell you about 10-Minute Murder on Facebook and Instagram. There are links in the show notes of this episode, or you can just type it into the search bar and it'll pop right up. But when you follow 10-Minute Murder on Facebook or Instagram, I post visuals there that help go along with the stories you hear about. Nothing gross and nothing graphic, but enough to put a face to the names and see the places. Today's story deals with broken trust in several ways. Aggressive sexual role play, arson, and kidnapping a little girl. Obviously, there's also a murder, or we wouldn't be talking about this. But it ends with an added detail that you probably won't see coming. This is Jacob Kinn, the Babysitter Killer. June 22nd, 2016, in Bemidji, Minnesota, authorities responded to a fire at a home. It was 3:33 a.m. when they arrived. They found the trailer home in flames. The fire seemed to focus in one main part. Still smoking and buried in debris, they found the body of the homeowner, Melissa Norby. She had a mattress on top of her, and it didn't take long for investigators to realize this fire was suspicious and determined it was arson. Not many people keep a gas can in the house. Looking closer, they saw that her arms were bound with tape. It wasn't long before the mother of a 5-year-old girl showed up at what was left of the charred home, telling people that her daughter Brittany was probably also still inside. Melissa Norby and the lady were friends, and Melissa often babysat the little girl. Firefighters had already thoroughly gone through the home and searched, and knew for sure that there was no little girl inside. Brittany was missing. Hours into the investigation, the dots weren't connecting. They were looking for a killer arsonist and probably a kidnapper at this point. Investigators learned about an ex-boyfriend of Melissa's. Included in his criminal history was a charge of arson. That turned out to be a dead end. That guy had a rock-solid alibi. Police fanned out and started talking to anyone and everyone that knew Melissa. That's when some pieces started connecting, and that led them to a guy that one of Melissa's friends knew as Chance. She said that Melissa told her that she and Chance liked to engage in aggressive sexual role play, daddy-daughter type scenarios. The role play sometimes turned violent. After more investigation into this creepy guy Chance, police learned his real name, Jacob Kinn. He owned a food truck called Jake's Eats, and Jacob was not a stranger to law enforcement. Bemidji isn't a huge city, and they recognized the name. They knew he was a registered sex offender, and they've dealt with him before. In the past, he had solicited in an online ad looking to take photos of young girls. Police set up a sting and captured him in that case. At that point, he became suspect number 1 of Melissa's murder and Brittany's kidnapping. Police had Jacob Kinn's probation officer call, real casual and basically saying, "Hey, there's a missing girl and the police would like to talk to you about it." He agreed.
Where were you when Tiffany called you? Standing on the dock, in your vehicle? Where were you?
I was packing up, getting ready to leave anyways.
Okay.
You see that lake right there?
Yeah.
That's where you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your cell phone is.
Okay.
That's...
Yeah, I said I got that.
Okay. I just wanted to show you the map, a clear picture. So that's,
Yeah.
and their cell phone tower is closer to that it should have pinged off of.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I said I got that. I don't know how that would have happened, but yeah, I wasn't in Big Fork. I had no reason to be in Big Fork. I don't know why, it pinged off the Big Fork tower. I have no reason to lie about where I was tonight.
Here's the deal. Chad and I, what we can't get over. Melissa talked to her friend in Nebraska. She's dating a guy with blue eyes, has a food truck. That's you.
She's telling people that.
Okay, hang on. Her cousin in the cities, Jake, owns a food truck. That's you.
That would be me.
Co-workers describe you. Why would Melissa say she has a relationship with you? She could say anybody.
She could.
Why would she give your name?
I don't know, because she had a crush on me a long time ago, and she wanted to date. A year ago, 2 years ago, yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her or talked to her in 6-8 months.
Okay.
You recognize this little girl?
I already answered that question.
The entire focus of our evening is this little girl.
Yeah.
Okay? We have to go and tell her parents, this community, and everyone in this building that we've done everything we can to find her. Something bad happened. If something happened, if something got out of control and somebody ended up dead, and this little girl is somewhere, whether she's alive or whether she's gone, we have an obligation to everyone to bring her home.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, if you could help us with that.
I would if I could, but I don't know where she's at.
Jake, if you could, I know it's tough to think about what's going to happen and all that kind of stuff, but I'm saying this right now. There are people out there that would support you if you said, you know what, I made a mistake. And this little girl is we can bring her home. Let's do that.
Silver, I don't know where she's at.
But you can
I don't
help us.
have her. I've told you my whereabouts. The only thing that's sketchy is where I was tonight.
And that's the big issue.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue for
I
us.
can't
Jake.
explain that. What you have is a bunch of people saying I'm dating her, which happened before when she told people I was dating her.
No, this is just recent stuff.
Yeah. And
Jake-
it's not dating,
Jake-
it's just sex.
Yeah, Jake,
Okay,
it's
then
rough
okay.
sex. And, if she got choked down and she died in an accident, let's talk about that. Let's fix it.
She was into bondage, she was into rough sex.
If this little girl, you panicked and did something to her, maybe she's okay. Maybe we can get her home.
I hope she is okay.
So do
But
I.
I didn't do anything.
But if she's not okay, we can explain that too.
I didn't do anything to her, and I haven't seen her.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I can't help you find her.
We're going to proceed. We're going to collect some evidence, and the evidence will show either you did or you didn't.
Tell you what,
Any evidence in your phone.
you find any evidence on any of that, you can come pick me up.
Okay.
But you're not gonna find anything because
Well-
I didn't do anything.
And we hope that's the case for you. But if you are responsible for anything, let's talk about that now, get out in front of it, and let this community heal.
I didn't do anything to the little girl. I haven't seen the little girl. I haven't seen Melissa in a long time. I haven't done anything.
Okay.
I was in bed sleeping. I'm sorry I don't live with anybody to corroborate that story. But today I was working. Yesterday I was working. Then I was fishing.
Your cell phone.
I don't know who it was.
Your cell phone is not even close to where you say you're fishing.
That-
That's concerning to us.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I can't explain it.
You should have been within a 5-mile radius of where you were fishing, and it's not. It's like 40 miles away.
Like I said, yeah, that's concerning, because I kind of was like, oh, what was he doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't explain it, because I was frickin' fishing.
I'm no expert on police interviews or interrogation, but I have watched hundreds of videos of them, and to be honest, if I were in that room with Jacob Kinn at that time, I might have believed him, at least part of his story. And it's a good thing that detectives are much better at their jobs than I would be at their jobs, because they saw right through Jacob and his story. And because of that, they followed up on the location where his cell phone pinged when the probation officer called, a location that he couldn't explain, and he insisted that he was nowhere near. At the Big Fork property, they located the missing 5-year-old girl, Brittany, in a cabin. She was wearing pajamas, had her legs bound with duct tape, and had been sexually assaulted, but she was alive. She told the police that rescued her that Jacob had told her that she was never going home. They brought Jacob Kinn back to the police station.
And you had no contact with the little girl? And
Whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form? Whatsoever. Okay.
And no connection between you and Melissa?
Well, not
Well, I mean, when I say connection, is there going to be any evidence that says you were in Melissa's house?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. And that gas can that we talked about, showed you a picture. Is that any of your evidence going to be on that?
No.
DNA or fingerprints?
Not that I'm aware of. So,
Nothing's changed from last night.
no. But you didn't really answer my question.
What was your question?
What changed between 2 hours ago and now?
At this point, officers are showing him a photo they snapped of Brittany right after they rescued her, and Jacob is realizing that they now know everything.
Now, let's start over. What do you got to tell us?
We know more than you think we do right now. And now's the time for you to fill in those blanks. And now's the time for you to come clean and tell us what really's happened here and what's really gone on.
Detectives got a warrant to search Jacob Kinn's phone and discovered something they didn't expect. Apparently, Melissa Norby was a part of the plan to kidnap Brittany from the very start, with the intention of sexually assaulting her. It's unclear why Jacob killed her and set Melissa's home on fire rather than follow their plan. Jacob Kinn pled guilty to second-degree murder and first-degree criminal sexual conduct and kidnapping. He was sentenced to 52 years in prison. That's today's 10-Minute Murder, the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. Thanks for listening today. And if you have a story you'd like for me to cover on this podcast, you can email it to 10minutemurder@gmail.com. You can easily connect with this podcast on social media. Just click the link in the show notes of this episode. Or it's even easier to just type 10-Minute Murder into the search bar of Facebook and Instagram. Before you go, subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening right now, and you'll never miss another episode. If you have friends that are into brief true crime stories like this one, tell them about 10-Minute Murder. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.